Welcome back to Convos.dev. We are two friends that talk about development, life, and everything in between. And today, this is a special episode because we got our first email from a user. So I'll read it out. Hi, Jess and Chris, big fan of the podcast. I myself am starting out in DevRel, so I really appreciate that experience perspective you bring to the table. I was actually just really curious about how both of you got so good at making video content. I noticed a lot of animations in your videos and was wondering if you do them yourself or work with video assistants to make that all work. Thank you in advance for your insights. Best, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Gaurav. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Gara, for messaging.
I think I'm going to give a little bit of context to like me and Chris's history. So me, Chris, and this other really famous and amazing YouTuber named Lewis used to work in like a little pod together at Warp and doing like video content at Warp. And that's kind of how we really learned about each other's like different storytelling and content ways of doing things. So I'll say like Lewis was like the like all about virality, all about hooks. He's really good at coming up with things that will grab people's attention, especially since I think he first got like big on TikTok. So it's like that first 1 second. He would obsess over, I remember being on a call with him and Lewis would be looking at the retention charts, like viewer retention, and he'd be like, yeah, we gotta like get this like first 1 second up, you know? And he'd just like, he'd even like have like 5 or 6 different hooks and be like, okay, we gotta test these out, or like small things like the thumbnail. And it's really interesting because he was just so good and obsessed with it, and it works. And he was just super effective at it. I think Chris and I were slightly different. I think we're more focused on like just pure education, but it also means that we could be like bland, or like it means that we're not as obsessed with as Lewis on these things, which is totally okay. And I think like, again, with my scales, if Chris was like more of a one, like he's pure education, just wants to like truly just be like, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is how these things work. And Lewis is like, you won't believe what you're gonna see with D, you know, like that kind of thing. And then that's like, Lewis is a 10, Chris is a 1, I'm maybe like a 3. So I don't know if that's accurate, but I think like after working with Lewis for so long, he brought me into a 3. I don't love the clickbaity intros of like, here are 5 things that you need to know to do this, and you won't believe what number 5 is. Like, I don't really love those. Or like the stop doing this thing, or like don't use this. Like, I don't really love them. But I did learn a lot from Lewis in terms of storytelling. Like, we worked on some, like, I think Lewis's dream is like to do like documentary stuff too. And so a lot of that stuff was really interesting. Like the way that he uses, like, learning how to storyboard correctly, and really being prescriptive with like sound design and collages of visuals, and how that really amplifies a story, and even pauses. Like a lot of the time you'll get like footage from people where they're doing a voiceover of a product demo or things like that, and like little pauses to almost signify a break in that section or something. I think I learned a lot about that sort of storytelling. On a philosophical, like zooming out level, I think really when I just do my own personal content, I just try to explain it the way I've learned it, because usually I'm writing scripts right after I've learned something, because the point of content creation for me has always been to solidify what I've learned and to teach people what I've just learned. And especially because a lot of my content is like AI focused nowadays, I think I'm literally learning it as I go, and just trying to teach it as I go. And so I'm just writing the script exactly how I've learned it. And sometimes that's like, if it helps to use a metaphor, like if it helped me to learn through a metaphor, then I'll use that metaphor. Or if it really helped me to look at like a coding snippet, like if I'm trying to understand something that's very vague and conceptual and I really need to like use a coding snippet to see what is happening, then I'll show that coding snippet. So for me, it's never been like a planned thing. I guess it's really just like my train of thought, and then just distilling that down into usually like either a minute or a couple of minutes. Yeah.
I feel like both, like Lewis is a master. He's just incredible, not only at telling the story, but then at the actual technical act of editing. Like I just never worked with somebody better than him. And like he somehow finds a way to be both like a super attention grabbing without being like hardcore, like YouTube-y, like not giving you any value. Like you're going to get value if you stick around for the stuff he produces. And I think like his power is being able to grab your attention, hold it, and all that kind of stuff. I felt like you've always had a really good intuition for like, this doesn't work. Like it's not gripping. It doesn't pull you in. But like, I think you are a blend of Lewis and me. And I tend to be more like, if you want to listen, great. If you don't, I don't care. Like, I just want to talk about the thing I'm learning. And, but I think I've both with working with you all, and then also just the last year or so at Resend, realized like you really do have to earn people, their ears. And so probably the biggest thing I've thought about with story is like, it's easy to make yourself or even the topic, the kind of the hero of the story. And it's really crucial to make like the person listening the hero, like what's valuable to them, what pain points are they hitting, like how is this going to benefit them? And that's just part of like how you shape it, and then you can provide the education or whatever. So I think that's probably been the biggest like starting point that's helped me, because it's tactile. Like, okay, what are the pain points they're facing, or what are the benefits that I know they want, and let me start there so that they're like, okay, that's worth it sticking around, and then I jump straight in. I think that's probably the best I do with hooks. I don't do great at like viral hooks, but it's also just not natural to me. Like I don't think that way. I don't talk that way. Whereas I think it was to Lewis. And like, he's really good at it and it's genuine. So like kind of be yourself, but within your zone, tell a story,
Yeah.
whatever that happens to be.
Yeah, and it's interesting how you say that, because it almost reminds me of like Warp's philosophy or not just Warp's, but probably most companies' philosophy when it comes to building a good product, like engineering product. If you were like the CEO or like a tech lead, instead of building exactly what you'd want to see or just like what you think would be cool, you start with user interviews and get to know like what your user thinks, what your users' pain points are, try to fix that. So I think actually what you said is actually very similar to like product engineering growth mindset.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah.
When it comes to like actually learning how to video edit or like doing animations and stuff like that, I mean, I think both of us feel not anywhere close to what somebody like Lewis could do. But I think for me, it's more like pick a tool and learn it, and the simpler the better. And then you can gradually get more advanced in your tooling as you need to. So like I started doing screen captures because that was what I did for work.
Screen
I did
captures.
like user education captures, exactly. Screen capturing. And so I used ScreenFlow to start with, and I just got really good at it. So I'm really fast at ScreenFlow, but it's not crazy powerful, but it is simple enough to do most kind of the basic things I need to do. Like Screen Studio is another one like that a lot of people use. It doesn't require a ton of editing skills, but then a lot of those kind of like patterns you find in the editing software, as you get into more complex software, those are there, and extra things. So you can kind of ramp up your skills as you need to. But I think probably the base starting point is like pick something basic that you can learn really well and start there. And then as you need more, then you can grow into more. It's easy to like say like, I'm going to jump straight into like, I don't know, Premiere Pro. And then you're like, I have no idea what any of these things do. So I would start simple. And then like, as you need more, as you continue to edit, you'll find there are gaps in the software you're using. And that's when you can pull in some other piece of software. So that's probably where I would start.
I've used Screen Studio, ScreenFlow, Final Cut Pro, and Adobe Premiere are the four that I've used in the last 4 years of video editing. And I would say in terms of levels, it'd be like Screen Studio is like beginner friendly, then ScreenFlow is up, then Final Cut Pro. Well, sorry, actually Screen Studio, ScreenFlow, iMovie, Final Cut Pro,
Facts.
and then Adobe Premiere. And I would actually like to say that I've gotten pretty good at using Adobe Premiere. And I would like to confirm that because at Warp, we did this like big campaign, I don't know, a couple weeks or like a couple months ago. And we worked with a like a real production studio to get it done. So I had to hop on a couple calls with their video editor, yeah, just to figure some things out. And we just like literally it was a working session. So he screen shared his Adobe Premiere setup, and like we were going through it together. And I was like, you know what? Like it's very comforting to me because this looks exactly like how I have it set up, and a lot of the things that he was doing was like the stuff that I would do, and like. I was forced into learning Adobe Premiere because when I first started at Warp 4 years ago, they were like, you got to do sizzle reels. And I was like, okay, how do I do that? And then I had to teach myself Adobe Premiere. And I remember like I pulled multiple all-nighters. It was really stressful because we had a launch and I had no idea what I was doing. I was new to the company. I was like, oh my God, like this is so overwhelming. But I taught myself a lot of it, and it was like a crunch time thing. But I learned a lot of like I don't think it's motion graphics, but just like a lot of animation stuff, like frame by frame animation that I don't use as much nowadays in editing because it's just a lot of work. But Adobe Premiere is very powerful if you know how to use it right. And like my goal usually I edit like once every week. I just do a batch on the weekends of all my personal content. And one of my goals is to just find one more tip every week to make things faster. Like that's usually what I try to do. So if you do it that way, then you'll just get a little bit faster every week.
I'm guessing you learned a lot of stuff through like YouTube, like other tutorials you found online, or were you like reading the manual? Like
I'm so impatient. I hate like YouTube videos. I hate it because it's like, ugh, where in these 7 minutes am I going to get the one answer to the question I want?
Yeah.
And I'm not a manual person. I'm not like you're going to get a sense of any listener is going to get a sense of my personality, like the more they listen to these podcasts. Nowadays, I ask ChatGPT. So I have a very specific question. It's like, for example, this is going to be so like niche, but in Adobe Premiere Pro, there's a setting called Lumetri Color, where it's like if I had a screen and I wanted to highlight a word on it, how do you do that, right? Like I want to highlight one line of code or something, and like everything else on the screen darkens except for that one line of code. And so I use something called Lumetri Color, and there's this thing where when you click on it, it adds the box, and you want to be able to resize the box, but it doesn't resize like normal boxes where you can drag on the corner. It just resizes like the proportion. It resizes every corner as if it's just so if I drag one
standalone node.
Yeah,
almost.
so if I drag one, it's going to become a trapezoid, or not a trapezoid, but you know what I'm saying. Like it doesn't resize normally. And like if I press shift, it's like, I don't know if it's a very small hit pane or something, but it's like almost like I have to gamble to see if I'm gonna get like the right and I was like, what the heck is going on? And I like tried to Google it, ChatGPT it, and it actually seems like there's not like a really good solution, which is crazy to me. Because sometimes I just want to drag so that it just turns into one long rectangle, but instead it just drags that one node out to the side. I'm like, what the heck? And so a lot of the time I'm just Googling, like ChatGPTing like one specific question, because it's usually very niche, and I don't want to have to read through like a whole video to like find the answer to that question, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. As far as like video contractors, like how do you, I know you've worked with them in the past. I know they're also very hard to find. I have not, other than the ones that we worked with at Warp, which was mostly Lewis, but and his editor. But I'm curious, how you source them, what you look for, what you have them do to kind of test their skills.
So sourcing usually comes, I think the best, I've sourced through like different things like Upwork, and also like some sort of YouTube. I don't even know what the like website is anymore, but there's like these random websites you can find video contractors. It's never been super successful, and I found the best to be just like through references. Like a video editor that I trust will reference me to another video editor. With working with them, usually the most difficult part is like if you work in tech, it's just hard to find somebody who is both technical and has good video editing skills. And so a lot of it is you as a person, if you're a DevRel, have to learn the skill of storyboarding correctly. So a lot of the times I've learned the right granularity I need to give in a storyboard. There's a lot of times where I need to really scope out timestamps, and also I know exactly when to be like, you need to highlight this line of code, and I will screenshot the screen I'm talking about and circle the line of code I'm talking about, because I know they won't really know what I mean by something, right? So just being prescriptive there. And then usually I just do trial runs, like having them edit one thing and just doing like whatever payment works just to get it done quickly. And then if I like it, I'll negotiate like a longer contract from there.
No, I do think like being as specific as possible is super helpful with those kinds of things. And one of the tools we used at Warp that I've continued to use is Frame.io for that. Yeah. Even for my own edits, it's super helpful. You'll send your video up and then anybody can comment on a specific timestamp and annotate it. And so that's really helpful with contractors, or even just internally, like with the team, to say, here's the edit. Let me know if you have any issues. And instead of saying like around this second, something was happening, like you can just very specifically target it. And most of the time, if you're not doing a ton of video work, you can even get by on a free account for it.
You don't work with any video contractors at Resend?
I am the video contractor right now. Yeah, I mean, eventually we would like to, but I think right now it's mostly been educational type videos. So we haven't really done anything where we've needed somebody or where we could source somebody. I think we were trying to get somebody to help create some assets. It's like kind of a starting block for me. But most of the graphic type stuff, I mostly have done that either in ScreenFlow or sometimes I'll do it in After Effects, and then I'll export it and use it in ScreenFlow. So those are kind of the tools I've used in the past. Actually, like one of the things I like to use for basic stuff, which don't hate me, video editors out there, but is Keynote. Like, honestly, you can make some really cool animations and just record your screen. And like, they're not like the most amazing things ever, but for somebody who's not like super skilled in a lot of like video editing software, they can do enough to kind of get by on some basic stuff. I don't know that I ever have done anything recently with that.
You use Figma to design the things? You pull it off like a icon website, and then like, I also haven't used After Effects. So you got to explain some of, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know that I'm the best to explain After Effects, but for Keynote or PowerPoint, like either way, like I'll just, however I'm going to generate my assets, whatever they happen to be, usually that's in Figma or Affinity Designer or something like that. Then I'll export them and then just move them into PowerPoint and like, or Keynote, and you can do like magic move transitions between slides, and especially for like revealing certain sections of code, like that can be really helpful. So I don't have to animate all that. I can basically just build a slide deck, hit play, and record my screen, and that's really helpful. You
like just like manually like record this like that. I mean, that's smart.
Well,
that's.
I mean, if I knew what I was doing, I'm sure I could do that in After Effects or something, but it's like, it would take forever, and it doesn't take that long with a magic move and a Keynote presentation that you're clicking through. So again, don't come at me, video editors, but and then After Effects is mostly like for a lot more granular type animations, and it's as complex as any piece of software I've ever used. I know how to do just enough to do very little things, but sometimes that's all you need. So like logo animations and stuff like that. I've done that kind of stuff before.
That's pretty cool. That's a good hack. I gotta watch more recent videos to see what the animations look like, to be honest. But I want to see how good they are.
I don't know that I've used any Keynotes in there, but I have used ScreenFlow and I think a little bit of After Effects. So.
Do you use Keynote more for coding in public then, or like?
Yeah, mostly for my my Astra course. I have like a lot of intro videos in each of the modules where I talk through what we're going to go through. And I'm like wanting to animate code and showing different sections. And like, I could do it all in ScreenFlow or I could do it in After Effects, but it would just take me twice as long. And I'm like, it's not that crucial that this is like super highly polished. It looks good enough. And you can't tell, I think, that it's a PowerPoint presentation because things are just moving around and arrows are coming in, so it looks animated-ish.
That's awesome.
So that's mostly where I've used it.
That's a great hack.
Saves a lot of time.
Yeah, I like that. I got to try that. Anything else that we want to talk about?
Overall, like, let the purpose drive it. I think editing is one of those areas you can really sink hours and hours and hours and hours into and never really come to a spot where you're like, this is the best thing ever. Like at least for me, I'm always critical of my own work. So I kind of have to put time restraints on myself and just say like, all right, I've got 4 hours. I'm going to make it, do an initial pass, then I'm going to do a refinement pass. And if I have time, I'll do one more. But like, you kind of have to scope yourself, or you really could just edit forever. So obviously, hopefully you have somebody on your team who can help like check some of the design skills and that kind of thing. But as long as like you hit a basic threshold of like, this is quality enough, at some point you just have to say, I'm going to be done after one more pass, because you'll always find little micro things. So I think probably the biggest thing is just for me has been just to set a scope for the work and then really hold myself to that.
One thing that I took me a long time to figure out was like the branding of my videos. So a lot of there's a lot of decision that goes into, like, if you even look at like Chris's background right now, like I'm assuming there was a lot of decision that went into this bookshelf, and like, ah, I see the Lego man. I just
Yeah.
realized that. I was like looking at your,
you
that's
go.
so cute. But like what you're
my
putting
little
on there and
personality.
stuff like that, you know, like I'm assuming there was like, you know, is that book specifically tilted on purpose? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I would say there's some thought by somebody else, and I was just there for the ride. But,
But,
yeah,
like,
I
this
showed them all
person-
my stuff, and they tell me where to put it.
but like this person is professional, right? Like they
Yeah, right.
know that it matters what is in your background and what colors in your background, and
Right.
like even like what camera are you using? Like Chris is using a different camera than I am right now, so it looks different and it makes you look different, and your lighting and things like that. Like maybe like Chris, I guess are you in the same room or a different room? Like
Same room. I spun my office though, so a different wall.
yeah, so Chris is lucky enough to like be in a location where there's a lot of sun, but there, like I live in Seattle, it rains a lot. There's a lot of times where my lighting is going to be a lot different, and there's a couple of like, the longer you work in video or as DevRel or whatever in this space, you're going to have to like make this, you're just going to, there's these small things you're going to have to like put thought into.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know about you, but every time I look back a year, I'm like, man, I was so bad then. 2 years, I'm like, I was horrible then. Like you kind of have to grow like that.
Yeah.
And there's not really another way to do it. And
Yeah.
I think in a year, hopefully I'll look back and think like, man, my editing wasn't quite right there. So you kind of also evolve, and if you just keep going at it, like a little bit at a time. I really like the idea of like one different thing each time I'm going to learn. Because that is how you grow. You know, that is how you get better. It's not by doing like a massive, 25-hour course. It's really by the daily kind of edits. But all right, you want to jump into our tools?
Yeah. You want to start?
Sure. Mine's kind of like video editing related, and that is DScript. I've used this a lot in the past, both to just like grab captions. It's a really nice way to actually throw like live captions on your videos without doing a whole lot of work. But the idea is you can edit video or audio using the text the transcription. So you just edit the transcription. It'll even cut out ums and uhs and that kind of stuff. And when you edit the transcription, it basically edits the video or the audio. So it's a really nice like ease into that. To me, at least, I know they've added a lot more like visual editing features, but it still seems fairly basic. But I think that's the intention, is like for people who just want to edit and get it out and focus on the end product, and instead of like these micro animations or that kind of thing. But I found it to be really helpful. And I still use it a lot, so I would check it out.
Yeah, I've used DScript before, and I think it's like such smart technology, and it's also in if you've used Loom or also Riverside.
Yeah.
Both have it, and I'm just like, it's so smart to video edit using the transcript instead of having to video edit using the video, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Unless you're really into video editing, and then I'm sure you hate it, but like it's fine by me most of the time. What's your Distill? I've never heard of this. I didn't even look it up.
That's okay. So I haven't actually used it myself, but I have this friend who's been really into AI tools, and he was calling with me and telling me about it, so I did look it up. It is a note-taking app, and essentially I think the cool thing about it is you can just, similar to any note-taking app, you could just put all your notes in there, but they'll have, it's AI, like there's AI built in, so they have these different agents. So they have like a productivity agent or a research agent or a coding agent or things like that. And you can call different agents on your notes to help you learn or distill things. That's why it's called Distill. But I was asking him, like, what the benefit of this was, and he did mention, and again, I would have to use it myself to like test if this is true, but he mentioned like there's a lot of times where you might just put in like some notes and ask it like how to do something, and it won't do it for you, but it will teach you how to do it. Maybe it's using a specific agent for that. I know that's very vague, but I've been meaning to try it out. I think you have to like sign up for a wait list or something, which is why I was thinking about trying it yesterday, and I was like, oh shoot, I have to put in like my email to a wait list, and then I gave up. But he seems to really love it. I use like I just still use Notion a lot for my notes and stuff. But he seems really pumped by it, so maybe something worth trying out. Yeah.
Huh. I'll have to check that out. Well, speaking of my office earlier, my show and tell, I was just going to show and tell my office. So if you're not watching on the video, sorry. But basically, work has gotten this office revamp for me, which is really cool. I do have a funny story, which is I have a lamp over here that is supposed to have a light in it, but you can't see it. I don't even think you could probably see it in the video, but it's because I accidentally like burned I had an issue with the light bulb. I tried to switch it out and I wasn't paying attention and somehow shorted out the wires. So I have an electrician friend. So normally I have more light over here, but all these different things, the bookshelf, I painted the wall, got the plant. I do play piano a lot. So I put that in as like a small personality piece. And then a couple of these other things, but I worked with a designer, with somebody who set up all the tech and stuff. So I have like a light here, another light kind of coming behind. Full like teleprompter. It was like a whole office revamp, but I'm just super grateful for it and feel super lucky that Resend was like, we really want to invest in video. We want you to do more videos easier. And so now I can literally just sit down, read a script, record very quickly. Everything is set up, hooked up to my computer. So I've been super grateful for it. And yeah, I wanted to show it off and just say thanks to Resend.
I'm so jealous. Like, I actually don't love filming because I don't have a good like setup, and every time I have to film I have to bring out my tripod, and it's a flimsy tripod, and so when I film short forms I have to flip my DSLR sideways and it makes the tripod fall over. I literally have a hoodie that I use to wrap around the legs so it doesn't fall over.
Yes.
And then like I have to tilt myself because like my nice background is like this, but like my table is this way, and so I have to tilt myself, and I hate it, and the lighting is bad. I'm so jealous, like legitimately.
When I met with them, they asked me like, what is the biggest deal to you? And that was exactly it. I'm like, set up friction. Like if I have to do anything to set this up, I just put it off and put it off and put it off. And then it's like 10:30 at night and I have to record because I still haven't done anything for the next day or whatever. So like for me, I can literally flip a switch, hit record, and everything's set up. I actually have little lights here. I can just shut off like my entire, if I can get it to work.
So jealous.
Set off my entire system if I can get it to turn off. There you go.
Oh, that's so nice.
So just with a single light.
That's so
and it
nice.
just turns them all off. I know, right? So I'm just super grateful, and it's certainly not deserved, but I'm super grateful to have it and be able to use it for my own stuff too.
What's the name, in case anybody listening wants to do something similar? They have the money.
Yeah.
And what's the name and how much did it cost?
So it's Dream Studio. And they have like a consultation fee and then whatever else you need. I already had some of the gear, which helped. It kind of depends on what you end up doing. They have several different packages, but it was several $1,000s for the consultation. I don't remember the exact dollar figure, and then several thousand for the gear and the stuff we bought. And I had some choices in that too. So a lot of times I was choosing less expensive stuff just because at some point I'm like, that seems way too expensive. But we got enough that I think it all looks really good and kind of fit my design aesthetic. They had me like talk through the things I like and also tried to blend it with the company. So it was like this blend of my stuff and the company stuff, because I'm going to use it for my own channel too. So that it was challenging to kind of figure all that out, but I think we did an okay job of making it professional enough and also playful enough.
That's so cool. Yeah. Well, if anyone's listening and wants to do that, you can use that company. Okay.
They've been awesome.
Mine is not so impressive, but you know what? It is.
Jess, we need to stop this. Jess wins like tournaments, travels the country, wins football games, and she's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. We just took home gold. So go ahead, tell us what you won.
I'll put the picture here somewhere, but me and my QB from football play pickleball together. So it's a really good like chemistry, really good partnership. And we played in a tournament up in Seattle, like up north in Linwood. at a place called Pickleball Kingdom. If anyone plays pickleball, so there were 10 teams in this division. We were playing 4045 level. We were 10th seed, as in we were the lowest ranking team because both of our duper ratings were quite low. And yeah, so no one expected us to win. But we are like probably too good for our rating. We just don't play enough tournaments to bump up our rating. So I think we were like ranked like 3.7 before the tournament. We won gold in the tournament. It was amazing. It was really fun. And shortly after, I think both of our ratings got bumped up to like 4.1 or something. But yeah, it was just it was fun. It was awesome. It was my first time winning like gold. So yeah.
So Chris has somebody do a studio for him, and that's impressive. But Jess wins an entire pickleball tournament herself, and it's not impressive. I don't understand the logic here. So that's way better than mine. Well, congrats. That's super cool.
Thank you. All right.
We were supposed to play pickleball together a couple weeks ago, and we ended up not being able to. And I'm so glad because Jess would have completely wiped the floor with me, but it would have been fun anyhow. I don't know what my reading is. I've never played in the tournament. I'm so sorry.
I would have had fun yelling at you to do things like that.
Wow.
You probably would have seen me.
This relationship.
No, it made it stronger. It would make it stronger.
Okay. All right. Facts. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. As always, it's great to chat with Jess, and we'll see you next time.
See you, Chris.